So I've been thinking about making a video about the hardest Oxide time trials for a while now, and I thought now would be a perfect time because I had to do them all over again a few days ago because I got a Nintendo Switch. Yes! I beat Oxide's Ghost on Dragon Mines by half a second. Thank God I never have to do that ever again. Now keep in mind that this is going to be a personal list, tracks that I personally had the most trouble with. The second time around doing these trials, I was a lot better at the game since I'd had months more of playtime, but there were still some tracks that gave me just as much trouble as they did back then. So let's get into the list. Number 5, Blizzard Bluff. The first time I tried to beat Oxide on this level, I'd say it took at least 35 attempts. Mainly because of this shortcut, I just couldn't get it on all 3 laps. And this boulder as well. Okay, shall I wait for the rock to pass or shall I just go for it? I'll just go for it, it should be okay. Fuck! However, this time around, the ghost wasn't actually that difficult to beat because of the second shortcut that Oxide doesn't do. If you're going fast enough, you can jump over the gate, and if you do this even just once and manage to keep your speed for the rest of the track, you'll have no problem beating him. The only problem is this shortcut is even harder to do than the last one. I can do the other one consistently now, most of the time, but this one I still can't. I fluke it every time. If it works, it works. The amount of times I've tried to do this online and then lost the game because I failed it is more than I'd like to admit. Number 4. Tiny Temple. In my opinion, the Oxide Ghosts on the Crash Nitro Kart tracks are all easy. Probably because I've been playing Crash Nitro Kart since I was in primary school. I was able to beat all of them without any issues, with the exception of Tiny Temple. Tiny Temple is difficult because you have to play perfectly and keep Blue Flame for 2 whole laps. Lap 1 isn't so bad, you just have to do a good enough job staying close to him because as soon as lap 2 begins, that's it. He gets Blue Flame and he keeps it for the rest of the race. This track isn't so bad when you learn how to keep Blue Flame and you have a bit of practice doing it, but if someone only recently just bought the game and they attempted this, they're really going to struggle with this one. It's so easy to lose the Blue Flame, whether it be hitting into a wall, accidentally missing the ramp, going into the fire at this bit, although this wasn't much of an issue. Hitting the box on the first lap will stop the fire from switching sides. And yeah, I really struggled with this one first time around, but when you get used to it, it's not as bad, so that's why I'm putting it as number 4. Number 3, Oxide Station. One thing I don't understand about this game is that you have to prove that you're worthy of racing Oxide before you can race him. You can't just go and race Entropy or Oxide's Ghost, you have to get a good enough time by yourself first. And I don't understand why you can beat Oxide's time the first attempt where you're proving that you're good enough to race him, but it just doesn't count, so you have to do it again, even though you just beat their times. This wasn't really much of an issue, it's just kind of repetitive having to do each track at least 3 times. But Oxide Station, this is where it became a problem. I remember the first time I tried this, I couldn't even unlock the chance to race him. And then when I eventually did unlock the chance to race Oxide, I was celebrating as if I already beat him. In fact, no, I don't even think that was Oxide. I think that was Entropy. Yeah, the memories are coming back now. Before you beat Oxide, you have to beat Entropy, obviously. And I couldn't even unlock the chance to race Entropy on this track. The reason this track is so difficult is because you have to maintain your boost, and it just isn't easy to do that with all the bends and walls that stick out. Surprisingly though, the second time around, this track actually caused me no problems at all. I beat Oxide on the first attempt, but I'm including it anyway because the first time around it was complete hell. Number 2. Dragon Mines. Fuck this track. I forgot how bad the Oxide Ghost was until I had to do it again. There's 2 main problems with this track. Firstly, you have the spiral, where you have to U-turn jump around it and you lose all of your speed and you can fall off and hit the wall, and I hate it. At least Oxide doesn't go around it perfectly though. He does crash into the wall and slow down, which is helpful. There is a way of avoiding it. You don't have to go up it, you can go up the railway instead. But it's so easy to lose your speed by hitting a wall because it's so narrow and hard to drift into. The second problem with this race is that you have to keep your boost the whole time. I don't know the proper official names for all of these different types of boosts, so let's just simplify it. Slow boost, fast boost. You need to hit this turbo pad to get the fast boost, and you need to keep it for the remaining 2 laps because Oxide does. And it's so hard to keep it, one because of the level design, the poles and the walls that stick out. The railway cart things can be annoying sometimes too, and even when you do it perfectly, you're still barely ahead of him. There's no room for error. Even just getting the fast boost in the first place can be difficult at times because you need reserves to maintain it, and since you lose all of your reserves at the spirals as before, a lot of times you don't even get the fast boost to begin with. And finally, the track that gave me the most trouble, Sewer Speedway. Seriously, fuck this track. I found this one difficult for multiple reasons. Firstly, the shortcut. Now, the first time I did this, the shortcut was broken, if you remember. There was no consistent way of doing it at the time before they fixed it, and you have to do this shortcut at least twice. One time you can get away with going around, but you have to do it at least twice because he does it on every single lap, and it does save quite a bit of time. Even when doing it 3 times in a row, he's still just behind you. The second time I had to do it, they'd fixed the shortcut, yet I still had so much trouble with it. Another thing that made this so difficult was Oxide himself. On some tracks, you can afford to mess up multiple times and you can still beat him easily, but on this, he is always right behind you, even if you do the shortcut 3 times in a row. You can perfectly boost around the track, pull off every shortcut, hit every boost pad, and he's still just behind you. Combine that with a very annoying shortcut that you have to do 3 times and these rolling things that you have to dodge, and you have yourself a very difficult Oxide Ghost. You have no idea how frustrating it is to do the shortcut 3 times in a row and then get splattered by this and see Oxide speed past you to the finish line. And yeah, they were the 5 Oxide trials that I struggled with the most. I'm not including the new Grand Prix tracks because I haven't tried them. I'm only counting the ones that you need to beat to unlock digital entropy. Like I said, this is a personal list. You might have not found any of these difficult. You might have found other tracks more difficult than these tracks. So definitely let me know down below which tracks you struggle with the most. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Definitely subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you all in my next video.